Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Ooh, The Upsiders. You like that new sound effect? Ooh.
I love it. You sound amazing. You're handsome and talented and all sorts of things.
We are The Upsiders. Los, the artist formerly known as Los, that's me. And as always, I'm joined by
Mr. Bertram, baby.
About that business.
The dream machine.
And we're glad you all are joining us for this episode. Today we're talking about fixing things. Just anything, fixing things.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at this book titled The Repair Revolution, Fixing What's Broken. And Bertram.
John Wackman and Elizabeth Knight.
That's right.
Were the writers.
And Bertram.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself recently having to repair something?
Yeah.
What's that?
Why are you doing this to me?
I'm just asking. I'm curious. There's no agenda.
Yeah, I had some sort of SD card. Oh, what was it? It was a micro SD card thing.
I was looking at it. No, I was thinking you were going to bring something else up. I
thought you were like, let's talk about what you were just talking about 30 seconds before we hit record. Yeah, I had to figure it out on my own. I had a SD card reader or whatever, and I tried to put the micro SD card in there to read, and the micro SD card just kept going and went into the reader. And I talked to Los weeks ago. It's like, what do I do with this thing? And he's like, I don't know, man. Like, you got to pry it open, stick something in there or whatever. And like, I think I ended up smashing it with a hammer. I hit it, and it's like, it's metal, so it didn't work. And I put the claw in there and tried to pry it apart and all that. And then finally, I had to talk to a tech expert, like who, funny enough, helps train my repair cafe kids. We'll get into that later. And he was like, you got to find a seam and just use that to bust it open. So I took an eyeglass screwdriver that I had to fix my eyeglasses, because I also have to repair my eyeglasses. And I used that to pry it open. And the SD card was in there, pulled it out, put it in another reader, a better reader, and it worked fine. And I was able to get the footage. So unfortunately, I had to learn to do something that I didn't want to have to learn how to do. So yes, that was something.
Okay, you brought up another positive example, which was fixing your eyeglasses.
Yeah, that worked. You know, like having to buy those. Everybody, if you wear glasses, you should buy one of those little cases. Do you have that case, Los, of like all the different screwdrivers and all the little tiny screws?
And I have almost every screw imaginable, because that was all I could buy on Amazon, which,
Do we have the exact same one, the yellow case?
No, man. Mine is just a clear case.
Oh, okay. Mine's yellow.
Oh, that's nice. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. But anyway,
good one.
So that's what we're getting into today. In this throwaway culture that we're in, the age of Temu and is it Shine?
Oh, I don't know, man.
SEHIN.
Brother, I just learned about Timo last week, and they were like, you could buy something for 35 cents on here. And they call me Triple P, penny pinching, and I'm Polish, but I won't use that last term. It's a derogatory
no,
term
don't do that.
Polish people.
We've been talking about it off air, how I legit don't want to buy anything ever again.
I hate buying
at least for the foreseeable future.
Man, I went to Costco and I went to Aldi. Aldi, they have stuff for cheap, deals. Man.
Yeah.
We spend hundreds of dollars at Costco every time we go, and that's just understood. You're supposed to go to Aldi and spend no more than $30. $80 on just regular groceries, Los. And you and I this is called The Upside. So if this were our old podcast, Mad World, we would be doing multiple episodes on inflation. Yeah, and we would be very upset, and I would say all sorts of horrible things about people walking into lakes and all that stuff. But this is no longer Mad World. Maybe we'll do that at another time. But this is The Upsiders, and one of the things that Los said that I've been thinking about for weeks, we always have long conversations off air, and he said inflation is our fault, right? Like, we spend way too much money on stuff, and that if we want to drive inflation down, we have to stop spending money. And as much as I want to fight him, and as much as I want to blame all sorts of people, we are a consumer culture, and apparently, Los, that's how the rest of the world views us. Is Trump was saying it, I think, was they want access, that he believes that other countries want access to our consumers because Americans are just greedy pigs, Los.
Yeah. And
I can't argue with that.
All of that's right. I know. As much as and I know this isn't the podcast, but as much as I'd like to disagree and
tell people to walk in the lakes and all sorts
say
of things,
very unkind things about our the occupant of our president.
Oval Office, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're watching this, you could see that I'm struggling with my microphone thing. But
I still sound beautiful.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, you make a good point. We are a consumer culture, specifically here in the United States. If there's something to buy, we will buy it. We love deals. We love cheap stuff, low prices. But in these past few years, post pandemic, we found ourselves faced with so much inflation, so much so that individuals like myself, as I just said, don't want to buy anything anymore. And that's I found out I'm not the only one. I think consumer confidence as of this recording is on its way down. And we're recording this maybe a week before, but it's possible this episode may come out around Earth Day. So yeah, I mean, what we're talking about is a way to help ourselves and help our planet at the same time. And that's repairing the stuff that you already have rather than buying something new.
So in preparation for this podcast, Los and I read Repair Revolution, which I picked up at the library, which, I didn't go out and buy the book because then what do you do with the book, Los? You could just, hey, the library has all sorts of free books, not for long because they're going to be getting rid of libraries soon, I learned. So your kids will not be, they won't even know what a library is. But on this podcast, we still have libraries here. And so I checked out the book for free and I read it and I didn't consume anything.
Libraries may be a place where you could there won't be books. You could just go there.
Yeah, you could just go
be other stuff.
Stare at the wall. Let me give you a quote, Los. I don't know if you took any notes on this thing, but I took pictures, and based on what you just said, I got a really good quote for you from Dorothy Sayers in Creed or Chaos, 1947. Here's the quote. A society in which consumption has to be artificially stimulated to keep production going is a society founded on trash and waste, and such a society is a house built upon sand. And very quickly in the opening page of the book, it talks about how ultimately this consumerist culture that we are building is not sustainable. The economic explanation for this is that since World War II, the world has embraced the materials economy, that is to say, a wasteful rather than regenerative use of precious resources. As the axiom coined by Twitter co-founder Evan Williams puts it, convenience decides everything. The argument can't be made that this is sustainable. So that's what we're talking about here today, Los. We're talking about what are some sustainable fixes that we could do on the upside to make sure that we are becoming a more regenerative culture and not having the rest of the world lean on us to create trash.
Exactly. Yeah, and in our past, if you're curious, by the way, go ahead and try and look up Mad World. That was our previous podcast, and it takes a different tone from this one. But in our inflation episode that we recorded way back in, I believe, 2021, I mentioned that the C word is convenience, because that's what keeps these things going. It's the reason why we all have Amazon Prime accounts. If you don't, good for you. The reason why just Black Friday is a thing, right? Black Friday, Amazon has their own Prime Day. Like, they make it seem like this has always been around, but it hasn't.
And it's all inflated too, because now they're like, oh, what? There hasn't been deals in a decade at least. There hasn't been anything. And I used to work at Sports Authority where they used to flub. They used to flub deals where they said, oh, let's buy one, get 50% off on shoes. But then they took the shoes off sale. And if you would have just come in on a regular day, they were actually cheaper, Los. Don't shop at Sports Authority. Oh, wait, you won't. They went out of business.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. So about this book, Bertram, give us an overview here.
Okay. Repair Revolution, How Fixers Are Transforming Our Throwaway Culture, John Wackman, Elizabeth Knight. So it starts off by talking about the issue, right? That's that we're a consumerist culture, and what do we do about this? You and I talked about what do we do about inflation and the price of everything going up. Like, what are we going to do about this? And it talked about how we need to transform into more of a regenerative culture, and how that kind of got away from us. Specifically, it happened with millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me go find where that is. They were talking about how our generation sort of modern living has been de-skilling us for generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hear stories, and I've been getting, because I was reading this book, I kind of got more into asking questions about our grandparents and great grandparents, and how, I don't know if you got anybody in that family where it's like, my grandmother-in-law was milking the cows and getting up at 6 o'clock and making biscuits, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody had to learn how to do all these skills, and then
It's for
because of tech.
subsistence.
Yeah, these are the things that you had to do, right? And now there's this de-skilling culture that has happened, and now millennials are starting, they called it reskilling, is how do we go back and learn how to kind of do some of these more simple tasks that may have been automated, right? Or may have just been unnecessary for the last 40 years. And they talk about how we can do this on a community level. You and I did that episode about cul-de-sac, right? And how the sustainable living communities.
And vertical
And
farming.
yeah, and vertical farming, right? And how essentially the communities can get us out of this by building what is essentially a repair cafes. How do we come together and have repair cafes in our neighborhoods, which seem to be the biggest point of the book, right?
Yeah.
Is that there were all these narratives about repair cafes that opened up across the country, and what they did, where they were, who was involved. And so the book essentially became a documentation of all these great community events happening, and how to start a repair cafe, and what really happened.
Mm-hmm. So, what is a repair cafe?
Oh man, I'm glad you asked. So essentially, there's a few different things that you can do. So you have people from the neighborhood, right? Getting together, and you could use kids, you could use high schoolers. In fact, I'm building one right now at Purdue Polytechnic, where we trained the kids. This dude named EJ trained the kids on how to take apart computers, and now we're at the point where they're fixing the school's computers and their friends' computers, and we're in a church, so you have to get a location in the community, right? Some of these examples where libraries are a great place for repair cafes, churches, just anywhere that is a community based location, right? And the general public can bring anything, right? You gave an example before the podcast. I think there's anything that could possibly be repaired, whether it be computers, sewing machines, anything of that nature. Essentially, you can bring it to this location and people will attempt to fix it. They talk about it's supposed to be free, right? You're not supposed to charge, and that was very clear in the book, is that you don't charge. There are coaches that can coach the people on how to fix them. But what was interesting, Los, is they said you cannot, in a repair cafe, as we're building this culture, you can't just drop off your stuff and leave. I don't know if you remember that part when you were reading it, that they said the one of the biggest, most important parts of repair cafes is you sit with this repair person while they are trying to fix your device, and it sort of becomes this dialogue, right? Is you really get to know the person, you talk to them, it really was a community event, and I really enjoyed that. You have coaches, and they talked about you can have essentially three possibilities. Either the thing is repaired, the thing is deemed beyond repair, or it becomes tried, dead, done. We tried to fix it. Turns out it's dead. Sorry, we're done. So those were those three things. And then whoever brings the item then has a choice where they could put it at the kids take it apart table, where it kind of gets donated to the repair cafe, and you could have kids kind of experiment on it. And so it really builds this like connection between the community. And funny enough, I didn't know about repair cafes, but that was just in reading the book, I said that's exactly what we're doing right now. I didn't know it was called a repair cafe, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Where did these repair cafes originate?
Oh man, I don't know if I have that. Do you have the answer to that?
Is it Amsterdam?
Yeah, I think it was Amsterdam. Do I
Place
not have?
known for their other cafes.
Yeah, what kind of cafes, Lowe's?
Where they barbecue the devil's lettuce.
Oh. Yeah, that's funny. I know that there was one repair cafe they talked about in the book where they started taking data, I'm a lover of data, and I love looking at just kind of picking apart all the little intricacies of the thing. You show me data and I'm just a nerd like this. Sorry if I creeped anybody out there. In one of the repair cafes, they did the data and there was a 70 to 85% success rate on the items being repaired. There were 50 people in the span of the 4 hours that came in, that the repair cafe was open. So it was open for 4 hours, saw 50 people. There are 2,000 repair cafes in 33 countries. That's what the book said currently. And they help bridge the partisan divide. So it's not a political left or right thing. You end up getting people of all political affiliations across the board coming in to get their stuff repaired.
That's wonderful. So,
do you have a date on Amsterdam? When was the first repair cafe?
ooh, that's
Is this an old thing?
I think they may have been around for a few years. I don't have the dates on me, but
I
Jamie,
have.
Jamie, look it up. Oh, wrong podcast.
Were you
podcast.
broken?
Sorry.
Hey,
pull it up, Jamie.
Apparently, Jamie's 50
not like
years
he
old.
listens to Jamie anymore, but that's a different story.
I do have that they mentioned the Great Depression was a link to repair cafes. I guess in 1932, a New York real estate broker, Bernard London, said we have to end the depression through planned obsolescence. Ending the depression through planned obsolescence. So I think you and I talked about that with we talked about it in Mad World, how tech companies and things are building their things to become obsolete, right? That these things will make themselves obsolete. And I think did we do an episode on right to repair?
No, that was always on our wish list for our last podcast was the right to repair.
Do you want to tell people about it, or should we not?
Well,
we don't have to get ugly.
Yeah. Well, I did used to work at an Apple store. I was a genius at one point. And yeah, it was really great to help people. Yeah, they bring their stuff in, we tell them what's wrong with it. And in many cases, whether it was accidental or through some other failure, we would repair these devices, iPhones, Mac computers. But there were a few that bothered me that we couldn't repair. So iPads, I was there through the first few years of Apple Watch.
Meaning you weren't allowed to try and repair it?
Beats headphones, like they were beyond the scope of us being able to fix it. So we would send those out to a outside repair facility, and they would send the product back. But most of the time, they sent like a new product. You'd get like, if your iPad was messing up and we validated that, it needs to be repaired, they would get effectively a new iPad or one that had been like reconditioned or whatever.
Any idea why that was? Was it you guys just didn't have the skills, or there was something wrong with? They weren't ready to train people on how to fix it. What was the reason?
Well, the issue is how they're built, right? So an iPad, when you look at an iPad, I have one right here. Look how thin this thing is, right?
Yeah.
If I were to try and pry it open, it's very delicate. At least with a phone here, there's some reinforcement here. This is the iPhone itself is in this frame, and then the glass goes on top.
Throw that thing against a wall.
Oh, this one actually does have a few cracks, but
chuck it.
Yeah, so you see this, like it looks like it's hard to get into, and that's because it is. And so we would have to send that out, and yeah, it would kind of bother me, because it's like, man, as being empowered, and I was one of the last classes to go through training in Apple headquarters, and it was a real special time. We spent 3 weeks over there. You just got to rub elbows with different types of people, from insanely smart people. But yeah, I wanted to be able to fix these things, but we couldn't, and we had to send it out. And like I said, most of the time, to the customer's delight, they'd get a new product. But what
Yeah, I like
happens?
that too.
And Apple's always been at the forefront of recycling in terms of the materials and stuff. But I think, the point of all of this is that it shouldn't get to that point, right? I feel like recycling, when it comes to sustainability, is like the worst case scenario. Like that should be like the last thing you think about. Where ways like many of us who think about or haven't been so green focused or don't know much about sustainability, when you say go green, you probably think, oh, I should recycle these plastic bottles that I use instead of throwing them away. When really, if and I don't want to go on a tangent here, recycling, most of the stuff that you put in recycling doesn't actually get recycled because it's a very confusing process. You don't know what's recyclable, what's not. And so we want to do the right thing, right? So we always lean towards putting it in the recycle bin when that may have been the worst thing. You may have contaminated the whole thing because you said, oh, yeah, I'm going to recycle.
Yeah.
So we've always said, when in doubt, throw it out, because it's better off in the trash where it's going to get disposed of rather than contaminating recycle things. So the point that with Apple, right, they're good at recycling things, but we know they are more of a marketing company than they are a technology company. The fancy commercials, the thing that gets you to want to buy this new watch because you see someone exploring and getting it dirty and swimming, and the phone because these pictures, these videos it's taking, and it could go and it could connect to satellites and all this fancy stuff, and it really gets you. Oh, I need a new phone, and oh, how old is your phone? Oh, it's 3 years old. What the, what are you doing? Yeah, and the phone companies really try and incentivize you. So what Apple has been sort of getting in the way of for years and years was the right to repair movement. Meaning, I have this phone here, I cracked the glass back here, I want to fix it myself because it's mine, right? So Apple for a long time didn't authorize you as a customer to repair your own product. Despite there being services out there, iFixit and some other places which create manuals and even sell their own sort of third-party components that you could replace, like a screen, for instance, or a battery. But for example, when I was working at the Apple store, someone would bring in a phone. They said they broke it. And then we'd be able to check and see, oh, look, this looks like it was a third-party display. The screen was done somewhere else. So we have to decline the repair in many instances and turn them away, right? They were really just trying to fix their stuff. But because it wasn't like an Apple part, they couldn't get service. They'd have to go to the cell phone kiosk or whatever it was where they got it fixed originally, or some other method. And that's not so much the issue. Okay, I have a place to get it fixed. But the problem was Apple wasn't allowing anyone to access their parts if you weren't in their authorized network of repair facilities. So outside in the Apple store, maybe you were a Best Buy, or maybe you were some specialty Apple store, mom and pop shop, more or less. Those were the only places that got the parts. But and they tried to block like legislation from happening. I know in California there was a huge movement, and ultimately they've kind of softened up, and they even have a store portal where you could buy their stuff. But
you better give me a bunch of stuff to put in the show notes.
But yeah, right to repair
send me a bunch of show notes to back all this up.
In a nutshell, you bought your stuff. Why can't you fix it? So that's the right to repair movement.
If I could make a suggestion, since this is the Upsiders, and back when you and I used to do Mad World, we would always try and offer a solution, right? And since we're the Upsiders, I feel like we definitely have to offer some solutions. And I know both the left and the right have been agreeing on things. There's certain things that we definitely agree on, like these populist ideas. And one of the conversations we're having is, how do we bring jobs to America? And with the tariffs and all that, one thing we talk about is let's manufacture iPhones here and we want to make them cheap. And we said, well, that's going to make everything more expensive because American workers, you can't pay American workers a cheap amount. And
And
I
it's
think
not
Dave,
about the money.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And both the left and the right have made the same joke because they talk about Dave Chappelle's line where he says, I want to wear Nikes. I don't want to make
make
them.
them. But even
And
if we wanted to, and again, I don't want to get into the negatives. Steve Jobs said this a long time ago, obviously, because he's been dead for a while. But he said, I think Obama, former President Barack Obama, once asked him, "Hey, why can't you build your phones in the U.S.?" This was in his biography by Walter
yeah.
Isaacson. I really recommend it. And he just said it flat out. It can't be done. And it's just like, why? He said, we don't have the engineers, right? And the
Oh,
engineers to overlook, assembly, the supply chains, like sourcing parts, all of that stuff. And, to actually put a phone together, I know because I used to fix them. I could imagine sort of that happening in reverse, me having to it's a very tedious process and careful. You have to have some skills to be able to do that.
sure.
So if we wanted to get to that point, or we do want to get to that point, if we're looking from a positive perspective, we need to reacquaint ourselves with repairing.
Mm.
Um,
Well, I also
yeah,
think I think if we want to all love our country, I think there's there's a lot of pride in making things that are built to last. And as millennials, one of the things we noticed is that your grandma always had a bookcase that could last 50 years, and now we buy these IKEA bookcases that can collapse in 6 months, or things that are very easily destroyed. And we have built our own non-regenerative culture, right? We're just, let's break it, let's throw it out, right?
yeah,
We just continue to throw stuff out because it's made cheaply. But if we make things that are built to last, we can take pride in those things again. And so what I really appreciate about this book is it doesn't just give ideas, it tries to build the culture along
mm,
with it and says, like, what are the things that are non-negotiables with the just the you have to sit with your client, in the repair cafe, and it becomes this collaborative process. There was one thing that they mentioned in the book called Radical Hospitality. And radical hospitality, they said, if you're running a repair cafe, you have to have radical hospitality. And their radical hospitality is hospitality that goes beyond being friendly. It's welcoming guests with a warmth, openness, and authenticity that significantly exceeds expectations. I have this in the show notes. It says basically there's three things you must do for radical hospitality, specifically for repair cafes, right? You have to be the tremendous power of noticing things. We cannot provide radical hospitality until we first noticed. Everything that follows, all our hospitality efforts depend on us first noticing. Offering personal attention is two, and then providing excellent follow through is three. And what I appreciate is we're not just talking about tech and repairing broken items. We're talking about repairing our communities, right? And just giving us a better sense of collaboration. We talked about that Sam Chaltain video in our education episode where we said we have to teach people, we have to teach children what it means to be free, knowing that you are free to follow your own pursuits, but you're not escaping the inevitable mutuality of humanity, right? We are all in this together. And, it's interesting that we did that episode on education, and here we are talking about repair cafes and how it's not just about fixing things, it's about repairing the community, repairing who we are as people, as Americans.
yeah, having a fix it mentality rather than replace it mentality.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So do you see this turning around? Right? Do you see us? Maybe inflation is the thing that pushes us over the edge, right? To say,
Yeah, man, I'm
no,
tired of
I
spending
don't want
money.
to I don't want to spend all this money anymore. Like, let me just fix the thing. Like, you remember when I was working at Apple, I used to get iPhones all the time, new gadgets all the time. Now I've had this
Mm.
phone like 4 years, something like that. And it's just fine if it's working, you know, and I love new
Yeah,
stuff. I love testing stuff. I love new software updates, but yeah, the money, is it
I think
really
so.
worth it?
Well, to put it, there's a WRTV, the ABC affiliate for Indianapolis, where it talks about, funny enough, a repair cafe that I didn't even know was happening right down the street from me and my students. And we just went to this place, or a place similar to it, run by the same people. But we last week, and I didn't even know they have their own repair cafe. So now I'm gonna have to reach back out to these people and say, hey, we want to be a part of your repair cafe too. It talks about the East Indy Arts Hub. Primrose Paul, she is the curator there, a museum curator. We just interviewed her for our podcast. Go listen to Voices of Indianapolis. That's our podcast. And in it, they talk about having a repair cafe in Indianapolis. And they said the group that was working on it, their goal was much bigger than just a day of repairs. I really like doing this, said Espinoza. Diego Espinoza. I really like doing this. And for the planet, we don't have to waste more resources trying to put something else new into the market. We already have great things. So there's a multitude of reasons why I do this. I think this is the upside, and we need to acknowledge we already have a lot of great things. We just need to be able to repair them and keep them going. And right now, we don't believe strongly in that culture, I guess.
Yeah.
We are not a repair culture right now, but with repair cafes, I think we're trying to be.
Well, and the irony is, I think a lot of those economically minded, and I'm not speaking about saving money, I'm more thinking about those thinking about making money, may say, okay, well, if we stop consumption, what impact will that have on the economy? Well, as the book shared, right? Repairing used to be a profession. They talk about cobblers, they talk about blacksmiths, they talk about all these, tailors. Yeah, it's just all, these used to be professional. You think about mechanics, right? They're not making the car industry go out of business. Yeah, they're fixing your vehicles, right? So it doesn't mean that this turns that into a bad thing or decreases that. People will always need to buy stuff, but will they need to buy things so often? And even will that push companies, now that they're seeing their consumers are looking to repair their products, maybe that ups the quality of these products. And maybe these companies in and of themselves looking at making sort of recurring revenue, think about starting repair, outlets themselves, right? I know Patagonia, they have a repair program. You could send your garments over that have various holes and stuff, and they could patch them up. Our parents, our grandparents used to have clothes that used to be patched up, right? Now we're just like, let me go to I don't know. What are some of these stores right now? Man, I can't even think because I haven't even gone to those stores in such a long time. I'm thrift shop Los. I mean, thrift stores in LA, they're not really probably thrift stores that all of you know back home. Like Buffalo Exchange and Crossroads and stuff. It's lightly used, but still, I buy most of my clothes there. Man, I'm blanking out. But anyway, you don't have to buy these new things anymore. Maybe think about fixing your clothes. Nothing wrong there. But yeah, just a shift in our thinking, right? And even looking into our wallets, right? And seeing, man, I don't want this to just keep getting slimmer and slimmer. How do I save some money? And on that, in the final note there of why people wouldn't want to fix things as well, is they talked about like the emotional attachment a lot of people have towards certain objects. And think about that. Think about what something means to you, right? And how you could keep that going by having it fixed rather than having to replace it with the new version of that thing. Because maybe that doesn't have the same story of how you got that thing or some of the memories that you made.
Wow.
Having those
makes us stronger as a people when you don't so easily cast things aside, right? Yeah. It makes us resilient, but it also makes us kind of care more and appreciate the things we have. And man, it's that they talk about throwaway culture, right? Mm-hmm. Is that having a throwaway culture it does a lot more harmful things than just having to buy something else. It changes who we are as a people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there was one thing in the book that I made sure to take a screenshot of what you just mentioned about how we think it would harm the economy, but there were blacksmiths and all these things. We used to have a lot of people whose job was to repair things. It says building a repair economy, repair and maintenance will make its way back into the fabric of everyday life only when professional repair is reestablished as a viable and attractive career path. Reclaiming repair as a profession is critical to establishing a repair economy. An important advantage is that repair is predominantly local, recalling one of Neil Seldman's axioms for resource management. Localize the industry, nothing should travel far.
Yeah.
And I think that's another issue that we're having. We can't, it's just the prices keep raising on everything because transportation is worldwide. How do we make everything close by in the community, right?
Yeah.
We have to localize our industries.
Yeah.
Which I've been pushing for a long time.
Yeah, maybe some of you listening, you have a repair history. Maybe you're someone like myself who used to repair electronics, and maybe you want to foster that a little better and want to make some ties in your community. If you go to the Repair Cafe's website, there's an option to express interest and say start my own. You want to start your own repair cafe. I live in LA, and we have looks like 3 repair cafes in the LA area, but LA is a big city. Having 3 isn't going to do it. Santa Monica, Pasadena, and Long Beach. None of those in the city of Los Angeles proper, just Los Angeles area. Long Beach is 20 something miles from me. Santa Monica is like 12 miles from me. And what's the other one? Pasadena. Pasadena's like, same thing.
3,600 is on the website. 3,600 repair cafes.
We need hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million repair cafes. So there's one down the street, just as you would know where the nearest 7-Eleven is. You should know where your nearest repair cafe is. So just maybe it is being fed up with having to pay ridiculous amounts of money for just about everything. And maybe you've been wanting to develop a hobby, right? Learn how to fix bikes, learn how to fix your phone or your computer, learn how to sew. And maybe, either start a business or, figure out a way to get your community involved and to craft somewhat of a repair cafe, even if it's not under that umbrella. And we'll come a long way, and we'll make friends along the way as well.
That was beautiful. Let's end on that.
Let's do that. So
let's make friends along the way.
So thank you everyone listening to another episode of us. He's Bertram. I'm Los. Upsiders is brought to you by so-and-so, so-and-so, produced by so-and-so.
Thank you for being my friend. I love you, man. You are my friend.
Don't you love in the end of a lot of those podcasts how they give the credits?
We need to do that.
Produced by...
Let's give credits, yeah.
Our research team is like, hello. Our producers are like, hello. But yeah.
Oh, what? They're telling me to wrap it up.
Okay.
I got it. I'm doing it right now.
Well, thank you, everyone. We won't just catch you on the other.
Craft services is running out over there, Los. the lady's getting ready to put out some more chicken.
Oh my. Okay, so we won't just see it. We'll see you next time, and we won't just see you on the other side. We'll see you on the upside. Bye-bye.